LaSalle's October 22nd macro note was entitled Climate Risks, Too Big to Ignore. It's timely because the last day of summer in the Northern Hemisphere was September 22nd, and boy, was it a summer. Europe and China recorded their hottest ever summer since record-keeping began in 1880. For Japan, it was the second hottest summer. For the US, it was the third hottest by that same metric. Economic impacts extended across the world. Transport throughout the UK ground to a halt for part of July as temperatures reached levels never imagined by the Victorian engineers who designed its railway network. A lack of rainfall left crops parched and caused key rivers such as the Rhine to reach levels so shallow that they weren't navigable by the barges that have become a key part of supply chains. In some areas of the U.S., the problem was too much precipitation, with extreme rain causing disruption in Kentucky and St. Louis. Flooding contributed to drinking water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. In China, some areas in July and August saw precipitation 60% less than a year ago. Record heat and drought, including parts of the Yangtze River, caused a shortage of hydropower and halted shipping. Relief from this year's extreme temperatures is coming at the same time as what looks to be a very severe season for hurricanes and wildfires. Hurricane Fiona left all of Puerto Rico without power before making a rare assault on Canada's maritime provinces. Hurricane Ian has been the worst hurricane to hit the west coast of Florida since 1921. The summer has also been a reminder to consider both the physical and transition risks associated with climate change. Reducing carbon emissions, which is key to preventing further long-term escalation in events such as these, has come under renewed urgency, given recent geopolitical tensions. Most European countries face a severe energy crisis triggered by Russia's war in Ukraine and the cessation of natural gas flows through key pipelines. Renewables like solar power have the dual benefit of aiding decarbonization and reducing dependence on Russian fossil fuels.
As real estate investors, we're concerned about the impacts that climate change will have on our assets, and we need to ensure that we prepare our properties to be as resilient as possible in the face of hazards resulting from climate change. And we also need to evaluate climate risk at the portfolio level, ensuring our exposures to various climate hazards mitigate overall portfolio risk. And to do this, it's critical that we have data. There is a plethora of climate data providers and forecasters that we have to choose from, but it can be overwhelming to narrow that field down. When we reviewed multiple providers, we found inconsistencies in how metrics were defined, and we saw wide variation in risk scores for the same hazard at the same property. We wrote a report in partnership with ULI called How to Choose, Use, and Better Understand Climate Risk Analytics. This paper outlines the basics of physical climate risk. It identifies the differences between data providers that we all should be aware of. And lastly, it raises a call to action to standardize the outputs in ways that are most meaningful and most useful for real estate and with transparency that enables an apples-to-apples comparison across models.